So before we proceed with the video here, I just want to make it very clear that this video here is more or less meant to be a rant type of video, because there's a few things I have to get off of my chest. And this video is actually inspired by the video that you see on screen made by the content creator, The Curl King. Their video is actually really freaking good. Definitely give it a check. Definitely give it some support. Links in the description. Alright folks, let's talk about something that's been bothering me for a while now, and something that I've started to become very vocal about, and it's actually wild when you look at it. So first off, people in the US, as an example, love to talk about how the UK is some sort of safe, orderly paradise. A place where you can go if you want strict rules and enforcement, limitations on weapons like guns as an example, and overall a polite society. But here's the thing. The UK is starting to feel more and more like 1984 as time ticks on, and not in a metaphorical way either. Real people, real arrests, and yes, even kids are being interrogated for words on the internet. So, in America, the First Amendment is absolute. You can say whatever you want to say, whenever you want to say it, but that also means that the opposition gets to say what they want to say, whenever they want to say it, and it doesn't matter how offensive it is. It's still legal at the end of the day. However, I will say, if you are going to be an offensive jerk, well, don't be surprised if someone clocks you in the mouth because you uttered racial slurs. I don't tolerate that shit, and neither should anyone. You can criticize the government, you can say whatever you want, you can quote things, quote songs, etc. The government can't touch you until you actually commit a crime. That right there is the firewall the founding fathers built to protect citizens from the state. And even in countries like Canada, where I'm from, we have the ability to freely express ourselves, provided we are not breaking any laws. So, freedom of expression and freedom of speech go very much hand in hand, as they are very similar. Now, as far as the UK goes, whoo, man, a completely different story. You can call someone stupid online. Maybe they threw a hammer, missed, and broke their toe. Wham! The police could come a-knockin'. You post lyrics from a song, you get arrested. You quote something offensive, you get arrested. Kids have been interrogated for 7 hours over words on the internet. Meanwhile, real crime like grooming gangs, knife attacks, or actual violence often get ignored or under-resourced. There's a disconnect so fucking massive, it is ridiculous. So take the Online Safety Act as an example. It was supposed to protect kids, which is something that we all can be in agreements for. But here's the thing, it is actually being used to silence criticism of government policy. And it isn't a one-off thing either. You've got people arrested for quoting songs, for memes, even for criticizing authorities online. There was a case, for an example, where a minor got interrogated for 7 hours over something they posted online. You can't make that shit up, and it's absolutely fucking ridiculous. Then there's the knife raids that police proudly posted pictures of when it comes to their seized weapons, and in the haul, I shit you not, spoons, butter knives, kitchen scissors. Real crimes are happening out there, but we're policing words and fucking spoons? And look, this ain't about religion, race, ethnicity, etc. At the end of the day, when we want to really get down to the truth and the brass tacks about the facts, it is about children being failed. Grooming gangs have been a problem for years, and authorities have mishandled investigations because of fear of political backlash. Give me a fucking break. Like, people try to speak out about this shit, and some end up getting arrested or silenced under the false pretense of offensive speech. The real concern here is safety, but the government seems more focused on controlling the conversation and the narratives than protecting kids. Like I said before, this is not about kid safety. This is not about online safety either. They are using those as masks to hide what their real intentions are. control, surveillance, and censorship. And yet, despite all the strict rules, knife crime in London is skyrocketing. Thousands of stabbings every year. Youths under 25 are the primary victims and perpetrators. The UK's strict gun laws didn't magically create safe streets. Violence is still happening. It's just with a different weapon. And meanwhile, people outside of the UK hear about the place and think, oh, no guns? It must be safe. Yep, I call bullshit on that. So when people say the UK is this supposed modeled society, how about we look closer? Arresting kids over words, policing lyrics, ceremonial spoons being classified as weapons, and yet ignoring genuine real crime. That's not safety, that's Orwell. That is fucked. That is an absolute joke. And this is why things like the freedom of speech and freedom of expression is so vital. Because no matter how ugly or offensive speech gets, the state cannot punish you. At least there, your freedom isn't conditional on whether the government likes what you said. Bottom line, the UK's approach to free speech, crime, and public safety is a complete and utter mess. To say it is all over the place is a massive underselling as to how truly fucked up it really is. Words are criminalized, actions are overlooked, and ordinary citizens are caught up in the middle of this absolute fucking mess. And if you ask me, watching all this play out is exactly why the founding fathers were so paranoid about concentrated government power. Welcome to reality, folks. At least as far as the UK goes. I've said this time and time again, but I am not critical of the citizens of the UK. I feel sorry for the citizens of the UK that have to answer to the higher powers that pull this type of shit. When I criticize the UK, I'm talking about the fuckers that run the UK like it's some sort of circus, like it's some sort of parade, like it's some sort of laugh riot, when you are messing with the lives of people all because you can't get your fucking priorities straight. You all cry, bitch, and moan because of some hurty words, yet you turn a blind eye to genuine crimes being committed. How about you fucking take your tampon out, take your head out of your asses, and actually look at how fucked the situation is. And this here just goes to show even further why countries outside of the UK cannot, I repeat, cannot bend the knee when it comes to the ridiculousness that comes out of the UK government. Because if you give them an inch, they are going to turn that inch into a kilometer, eventually into 10 kilometers, so on and so forth. This absolutely cannot stand. Like, the online nonsense revolving around censorship and control is just another example to add into this soup of shit. Big tech companies and other companies slash entities in general outside of the UK need to stand up and not allow for their influence to permeate and ruin platforms, all because the UK wants to control your speech. Like I said before, dig deep, touch your balls, wake up, and remember who the fuck you are and where the fuck you are and what your rights are at the end of the day. Because when you forfeit your rights because a foreign country says to do so, you also force your citizens to forego their rights too, even though they have every right to those rights, especially when you remember that our founding fathers fought and died in the past fighting for those freedoms. So just remember that. When you compromise your rights and freedoms because of a foreign country, not only is that a slap in the face to all of the citizens that look to your leadership for strength and for power and stability, but you are also slapping the faces of all of those who have fought and died just so you can have your freedoms. Your freedoms are yours. They are not meant to be pissed away or taken away.